Exploring the Flash anatomy, powers you didn't know he possessed. The Flash is the fastest man alive, but how does he stay that way? Obviously, traveling at the speed of light can't be good for the body, but then again, Flash isn't your normal human with a normal body. He wouldn't be a superhero otherwise. He's got quite a unique anatomy and many powers other than his obvious speed that many people might not know about. So let's find out what the Speedster is made of. To understand the Flash, first we need to understand his origins and how he received his super awesome powers. Since there have been various Flashes over the years and different timelines, let's get to know them. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Jay Garrick. Jason Patrick Garrick was a college student who accidentally inhaled heavy water vapors after falling asleep in his laboratory. This results in him gaining powers that allow him to run at superhuman speed and gain fast reflexes. The inhalation of vapors activated a latent metagene. After a brief stint as a football player in college, Jay donned the iconic red shirt with a lightning bolt and a metal helmet with wings inspired by the Roman god Mercury. This began Jay's journey as the Flash. He used the helmet as a type of weapon or shield, even using it to beam off the light at Eclipso. Jay's first case involved battling Faultless Four, a group of blackmailers. In the earlier issues, it was apparently widely known that Garrick was the Flash, but later it was shown that he was hiding his identity and was able to do so even without a mask, by constantly vibrating his features so no one could make out what he looked like. Barry Allen. Barry Allen was a police scientist with a reputation for being slow and frequently late, which is a major inconvenience and frustration for his fiancée, Iris West. One night, as he was leaving for work, a lightning bolt shattered a case of harmful chemicals, and they got spilled all over Barry. As a result, Barry finds himself with powers that allow him to run extremely fast and give him fast reflexes. He then dons the costume set of red tights with a lightning bolt on it, calling himself the Flash, after his childhood comic book hero Jay Garrick. He becomes Central City's resident love crime fighter. Allen's costume was designed by Iris's adoptive father, Wally West. He also designed the ring which stores the costume when Barry is in his civilian identity. Barry invented the cosmic treadmill, a device that allowed precise time travel and was used in many of the stories. Barry was well liked by all the speedsters that came after him and garnered immense praise from everyone. Wally West. Wally West was first introduced in The Flash number 10, 1959. He was Iris West's nephew. The same incident that gave Barry his powers was repeated for Wally during one of his visits to the police lab. He too received the same powers as Allen. He donned a smaller version of the Flash's costume and became the crime fighter known as Kid Flash. His costume was later altered in The Flash Volume 1, number 135, 1963, to one that made him look distinctive. The original red costume was replaced by a more yellow costume with red leggings, gloves, and earpieces. In addition to his appearances within the Flash comics, Wally was also used as a part of the Teen Titans. How did he get his super speed? The Flash is obviously fast, but there's much more to him than that. Just like super strength comes with making super jumps or throws, being super fast comes with lots of other powers. The Flash can create whirlwinds, run across water, and even phase through solid objects. By vibrating his body molecules extremely fast, the Flash can slide his molecules through those of other solid objects. It just shows that it's not just his legs that are fast, but it's every molecule of his body. Discussing the Speed Force is a necessity when it comes to the Flash. Speed Force is an extra-dimensional power source that fuels and protects all the speedsters of the DC universe. It was conceived as a way of explaining the more physics-breaking aspects of the Flash's powers. The Speed Force is the answer to almost any question to explain any speedster's abilities.
Oh my God!
Where am I?
He's up.
Dr. Wells, get down to the cortex like...
How does his regenerative power work? The Flash's body heals faster than the average person. In general, his white blood cells and regeneration begins soon following an injury. It enables him to heal quickly from near-fatal wounds. Bart Allen once had his kneecap blasted off and was still in good enough form to sprint himself out of the ER. The disadvantage is that the healing process might be so rapid that the bones may grow back incorrectly. The Flash once had to shatter a bone all over again in order to correctly set it, which may be a big annoyance during battle. However, it is still highly useful and mistakes are uncommon. Would the Flash be a master of erotic arts or just a disaster in bed? Whether you admit it or not, this is a question that has crossed your mind at some point if you happen to be a fan of Flash. How is the fastest man on Earth in bed? And more importantly, can he perform without injuring his person fatally with all the speed and friction? Well, as it turns out, he can and he has. The biggest proof lies in a comic book story arc where Barry Allen and Iris West have twins, Dawn and Dawn Allen. His children even inherited his superpowers, and clearly Flash could become a father. However, Flash being a father of twins and him being good in bed are not exactly the same. In this regard, there have been multiple theories that have been floated by the fans. Some suggest that the Flash is capable of doing certain everyday things at regular speed, and so there is no reason to speculate that he would be making love to his partner at super speed. His powers are voluntary, so he could simply choose to be just like a regular human in bed. To substantiate these claims, one can argue that Flash was married to Iris for a very long time, and she was never injured from their passionate sessions. In fact, if you consider his abilities to time travel, he could simply go back in time and make things better in case he performed poorly once. All this said and done, Flash would potentially be a danger to his partner if he chose to involve super speed in the process. Surely, the fans will remember the times when the shoes caught fire from all the running friction. The rest, we better keep unsaid, and up to your scandalously terrifying imaginations. If he somehow managed to use his super speed without injuring his partners in bed, he could actually get around and be with multiple people without them even realizing what just happened. Well, let's just end it here before things get any more disturbing. Let's just say that the Flash's carnal desires are a subject of interest because of his unique superpowers, and while there is not a single answer, we can always speculate as dedicated fans.
'Cause I'm a stud.
Flash has a ferocious appetite. The Flash moves extremely faster than a normal human being, so it isn't a surprise that he eats much more than a normal human. He has a super metabolism, which is why he eats feasts of food in just seconds to feed his ferocious appetite. His super metabolism is quite handy. It even allowed him to get rid of all the toxins in his body by running when he was poisoned by poison ivy. The incredible brain functions that keep him going. To match his speed, the Flash's mind must be even faster. If his mind operated normally while he was traveling at the speed of light, he would collide with a wall before he realized what was happening. Even telepaths can't meddle with the Flash's head, which comes in useful when the Justice League faces foes like Despero. Flash even went up against Gorilla Grodd on his own. Flash's synapses fire at such high rates that he can enter a state of mind in which time appears to be frozen, and he can solve complicated issues and scenarios in seconds. This skill also serves Barry Allen well as a forensic scientist. His mind is essentially a supercomputer. Because he is constantly analyzing all information around him subconsciously, even the tiniest shift in the air alerts him to any potential risks. Even though criminals try to catch him off guard with their strikes, it's easier said than done. He can take a nap while fighting. While this may sound rather absurd, it is actually true for the Flash. For a man who moves at the speed of light, some fights can be rather slow. Sure, he gives it all when he's fighting powerful villains like Doom or Reverse Flash, but when it comes to some random thieves or criminals, Flash relaxes a bit. He could fit a nice nap in a picosecond, which is like 1/1,000,000th of a second, whenever he needs to. This helps him be well rested at all times. While exploring his costume in Speed Bank. While the Flash always has his uniform handy, he can even make his costume out of the Speed Force if he wants to. It takes a lot of concentration and does leave him slightly more vulnerable, and also with the possibility of ending up with clothes. But in a situation where he doesn't have his ring, this could always be his backup plan, and he could always suit up and fight. The Speed Force gives all the speedsters in the DC universe their abilities. Wally West was the first to learn how to handle the Speed Force, and Barry Allen quickly caught on. Wally and Barry have both demonstrated the ability to operate as a speed bank. Because they're so closely linked to the Speed Force, they may give or take speed away from others. It requires a lot of concentration, making Flash vulnerable to various attacks. However, if he so desires, he may make anyone a temporary speedster during conflicts or take away the speed of people or objects, causing them to stop in their tracks.
I think the Martin brothers are hiding on a farm. The fecal matter I found on the street, it was cow manure.
Some of his speed-induced superpowers. Speed reading. Even without his speedster superpowers, Barry Allen is an extremely intelligent forensic scientist. He's proven to be an asset to the police and Justice League. He has the ability to solve complex problems thanks to his supercomputer-like brain. By using the Speed Force, he can increase his knowledge even if temporary. The Flash is able to read and comprehend an immense amount of information in his short-term memory, which he could use to solve or defeat a bad guy. In The Flash Volume 3, Number 2, the Flash uses his ability of super reading to save dozens of people. As an apartment building is hit by a shockwave, the Flash rushes to the library and reads several books on architecture in mere seconds. He comes back and reconstructs the building as it falls, thus saving the lives of all the tenants inside. Climbing walls. Defying gravity is not a task anyone can achieve unless you're Superman. According to physics, if an object can go fast enough and build enough momentum, it could use force to break through the grip of gravity and shoot upward. The Flash can easily gain enough momentum required to race up the side of a building and towers, as well as falling debris. The Flash has defied gravity many times to help civilians, catch bad guys, or just race his best friends. During one such race, between the Flash and Superman, he showed Clark what he could really do. At one point in the race, the two ran straight up a building. While Clark asked Barry to slow down and stay, Barry exclaims that he had been holding back before and runs straight up the side of a building, leaving Superman in the dust. Run on water. Knowing the extent of the Flash's power, it isn't a surprise that the man can run across water. A normal human being would have to run almost 99 feet per second to not sink. That's literally 3 times the current fastest man on Earth, Usain Bolt. But for the Flash, it is a piece of cake. He could just zip across the water like he's running on pavement. In The Flash, number 123, when Barry first meets Jay Garrick, he finds himself dashing across the water to chase the Shade. Even though the Shade jumps on a boat and uses his wand to cover the water in front of him with darkness and oil, Flash is able to recover, and together with Jay, they're able to catch the bad guys. Create a tornado. When two masses of air, one humid and one dry, contact, a tornado is formed. Then, a change in wind direction combined with an increase in wind speed produces a spinning tornado that rises from the earth. The Flash can use tornadoes to great effect when it comes to dealing with criminals and other metahumans. In the Flash TV series, in the very first episode, we see Barry defeat Clyde Martin by creating a tornado that spins in the opposite direction of the storm Martin was controlling. The Flash has been using self-made tornadoes since as far back as 1956. In showcase number 4, Barry comes across Mazdin, a criminal from the future who had managed to escape his time capsule prison. Mazdin shoots hot rings of fire at Barry, which he defuses by creating a tornado. How can he travel through dimensions? One bizarre thing in the comics is that Barry turns a treadmill into a time machine that he uses to travel through space and time. It is called the Cosmic Treadmill, and the Flash uses it to travel in time and visit alternate realities. Although with time, Barry learned how to properly use the Speed Force and travel in time, using the Speed Force, Barry has learned the way to traverse the multiverse and time without the use of the Cosmic Treadmill. Writer Mark Waid hinted that the reason why Wally could never master the ability to travel to other dimensions was because that something had happened to him as Kid Flash. But Waid never got around to writing the story and let the readers know what actually happened. His lethal punch is as powerful as Superman. The Flash doesn't need to be the Man of Steel to pack a powerful punch, because an object's force rises as it accelerates. A car wreck at 25 miles per hour is preferable to one at 55 miles per hour. Getting punched by the Flash will probably just hurt as bad as being in a car crash. Both Gorilla Grodd and White Martians have been on the wrong end of Flash's fists, and they're by no means puny opponents. In Justice League of America Volume 1, Number 3, written by Grant Morrison, with art by Howard Porter and John Dell, the Flash uses his mighty fist to take down one of his most famous enemies, the White Martian, Zoom. As Wally West is a conduit of the Speed Force, he can tap into it and put immense mass into his punches. He literally knocked Zoom across the country. Some of his abilities might be harmful biologically for him. The Speed Force is a gimmick used by DC to get around the practical challenges of running faster than the speed of light. It prevents any negative consequences of running at high speeds, otherwise simply running would be impossible. His bones alone would have to be comprised of a material so strong that it could hit the earth at speeds faster than the speed of light. The same goes for his unlimited mass punch. What do you think would happen if your arm cocked back quickly in one way and then changed direction to deliver the punch? To survive the force, your body would have to be fashioned of some comedic super metal. That's simply his skeleton and ligaments. How would you adapt soft tissue such as his eyeballs darting around or his brain hitting the inside of his skull when he switches directions at 90 degrees? Don't even get me started on that physics-defying feat. Is it possible to breathe at such speed? There is no adaptation capable of handling that. Being able to think at breakneck speed, he is claimed to think at attosecond speeds. Look up attosecond. In essence, he would live 30 billion years in the space of 1 second. Nothing in your environment would appear to move and you would go insane. You wouldn't be able to process speech and the syllables wouldn't even appear to be coming out. But once again, all of this is ignored because of the speed force. So, if speed force existed, the Flash would not require any biological adaptations. Could someone become like the Flash in extraordinary circumstances? Even though the majority of the scenario about the Flash's powers is hypothetical, the incident that led to Barry becoming the Flash can actually occur in a real-life situation. That is because Barry's body was exposed to the chemicals in his lab. If electricity hits hydrogen peroxide, which is a great conductor of electricity, and these charged chemicals enter your body, you might become the Flash, as hydrogen peroxide is a component of something called the fuel cell, and after it enters your body and comes into contact with water inside your body, it could form something of a fuel cell, which in theory could give you Flash-like powers. But again, this is all theoretical, and hydrogen peroxide is a very dangerous chemical, so no one should try to become the Flash using this method. The fictional Flash is all we need. After discussing all his various powers and abilities above, you could see that the Flash is a man of many talents and not just his super speed. While every Flash is unique in his own way, they all have mostly the same superhuman abilities that make them the fastest man alive, with a plethora of talents that make them so good at fighting crime. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.